We are both in white. Okay, so welcome to all our guests and viewers around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, or if you see this recorded. This is another session of SportsTech Live with Hype, where we are talking to industry leaders in the sport universe and trying to understand how are they coping with the situation we are. How are they using innovation to perhaps create a better experience and plan ahead. And I think we are, I would say, we are very pleased to have Kim today, Rometo with us. Kim from the Miami Dolphins. We don't see many women in our industry. I'm sure you heard this many times. But the one that we see makes tons of difference, and we then get a lot of emails and people writing down from ladies that were inspired, whether it's entrepreneurs, industry leaders, inspired by ladies that shared about what they're doing and how they're leading their activities. So thank you very much, Kim, for joining us today. And we're working alongside the project now for the last two months, and I think we took this opportunity to ask you just to get a little bit of insights about how you, in such a major league in the world, facing the new challenges coming up, the new season coming up, and also how are you looking at innovation in these special times? And I know you are, and you have been quite proactive in that regards. But before this, I've just heard that you've been to a real NBA game last night, and not just a game, it's quite a special game. So maybe just you can share, how was it? This bubble, what's happening there?
I'd love to.
Game in the bubble.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me. For those who don't know, my name is Kim Rometo, and I am Vice President and Chief Information Officer with the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins also, we have Hard Rock Stadium that we own and manage. We partner with IMG to produce the Miami Open Tennis Tournament, and we are working on bringing the Formula One Miami Grand Prix as well. So we host University of Miami football games and concerts and a wide variety of other events at our property. So it's a very exciting place. But yes, you are correct. I had the privilege last night of attending the Portland Dallas game via Microsoft Teams. So I had a courtside seat in Teams, was brought in, sent a username, password, logged into Teams. There were moderators in each section to assist all the fans with what to do and kind of general rules of the game. They would also point out when our section was on network television, so we could get extra excited. But it didn't need a whole lot of extra excitement. The game last night was fantastic, and Portland, came out right at the end there, and really, wowed the crowd. But I have to say, the use of innovation with really what was a workplace collaboration tool to bring you to the front action with the fans was just phenomenal. And I applaud Microsoft and the entire group at the Teams division for what they were able to do with the NBA. It was very well executed.
Hold on, I'm shocked. I thought you were actually in the game. So you were using a technology to see the game. Okay, I thought, wow, what, she got in? What, she had some special place, alongside? What? So you actually used the technology platform. How was it? How was it different to seeing this on TV?
It was nice because you could celebrate the fandom with other fans. So you could interact with other fans. Our mics were on, our video was on. You could high five the person next to you virtually, or if they were not a fan, you could boo them a little bit and jeer. It really brought back, I think, so much of what we've been missing during this COVID period of having community in sport, and that period that I was able to watch the game and interact with other fans just gave me that community and sport back for a brief, fleeting moment. And I didn't realize until last night just how much I missed it.
Absolutely. I have goosebumps just hearing that. And just so I understand, was it different from the TV production, or it just was about the room? So I could have another room in Zoom having the same activities, or did they have a special views, the Microsoft guys?
It did look like there were some unique camera angles from what was presented on TV. Okay. We also, we saw some different. We weren't shown the commercials that were on TV. We were shown some other productions from the NBA. So there were some little Easter eggs, if you will, of being in that session. And again, just the engagement was really what was so special.
So you can see, I don't know, you can see a real new trend of watching games like that in the future. Mm-hmm. So it's a new world, like a company, you order at this booth of, team and a virtual booth, and you celebrate with your company or whatever. Wow.
Or you have experiences where you can get insights that you never could before. If you could watch a game, with a scout and understand what a scout looks for with a player, or watch a game with an alumni and understand how they break down the plays. I think it's opening our eyes to an entirely new vision of what the future can be, and the rate at which we're accelerating because of COVID. I mean, this could have been a decade from now before people started to embrace it. And instead, it's happening here and now.
Absolutely. Okay, I can't wait. So we have a short time, and let's try and get the best and the maximum out of that. And Kim, maybe you can share a little bit, first of all, where you are now. You're planning your season. I think you start in September?
That's correct, yes.
September is around the corner. It's just now. What's happening? Are you going to use also bubbles like the NHL and NBA? How the setup in your stadium? Would I be able to come and watch a game? What's happening?
So in order to talk about the future, I actually have to go back to the past. So in March, when we were sent home, our vice chairman and CEO, we got sent home on a Thursday, and on Monday he had the senior leadership team on a call, and he said, we need to be prepared, we need to be creative, and we need to be united over the this period. We don't know how long it's going to take, how long it's going to last, how long quarantine's going to last, but we need to be prepared for all possible scenarios. And so we were fortunate. We started in March with all possible scenarios: no fans, all fans, some fans, socially distant fans. And we've been diligently working for months on all of those scenarios. We're still working with the state and local health authorities to determine how many, if we can have fans, and how many we can have. So that conversation is continuing to progress. But in the interim, I mean, we're preparing as if we were going to be able to have fans in a socially distant environment. So what signage do we need? What kind of ticketing do we need? The magnetometers, upgrading those so you can walk through security and be able to keep your phone in your hand and not have to have other people touching your personal effects and you not touching other things. How can you create this really great experience in a contactless way? And so for us, that meant deploying mobile ordering and doing a lot of other things that would keep that minimum contact environment. Now, what we were really, really fortunate of is that our CEO had this idea for drive up and socially distant movie theater. So in the stadium, you could drive in and you could watch. We have very large Daktronic boards, so you could watch movies in your car this summer. Or on our South Plaza, we have a very large screen on our outside of our stadium, and in our South Plaza, we set up these little pods of seating pods, 2 people, 4 people, whoever you were comfortable, whoever you had been socially distancing with, and you could come and you could watch a movie and have a little bit of normalcy. And so during that time, where a lot of other clubs basically either had to just kind of shut down or furlough some staff, we were able to keep pace. I mean, we were able to do our upgrades on our equipment. We were able to test out our new mobile ordering platform. We were able to try out contactless ticketing. ticketing, make sure that we had our PPE for all of our staff and everybody felt safe. It's been a blessing that he had the vision to push us in that way, because now we're going to be so much more prepared for how the season will go, no matter what our state and local authorities input is. So we've been preparing for months.
Looks like you've been quite active in the last few months. And let me ask you this: if I can compare the experience that if I came to your stadium last season as a regular ticket holder, and this season, bearing in mind that some will be able to get in, we spoke to Daytona racing course last week, where we had our webinar about motorsport, and he said that they're having a race in the end of August where they got confirmation to bring 20,000 people into Daytona. They have a place for 100,000, so 20 in a special setup. So let's say I'm coming in. How would my experience, I don't know if you have all the answers for that, I'm just trying to visualize it for myself and also for other people, fans or, teams and clubs around the world. How would this experience be different to what I had before? Bearing in mind that I can come to the stadium, how would this be different to last year?
So you definitely will notice some differences. When you come in, it's going to be directive parking, and there is no tailgating this year. So you wouldn't be able to just hang out at your vehicle and tailgate. You will be sent a push notification on your phone, and your ticket will be color coded. So if you have an aqua ticket, for instance, you need to enter between 12 and 12:10. It's very much like an airport to make sure that we're properly distancing everyone from all the other groups. Now there will be an open period at the beginning that if you get there, you can enter early, but otherwise you need to go with your group. And so if you got the aqua ticket, you'll enter at that point. You will be wearing a mask, absolutely. And then when you get up to the magnetometers for the security screening, you'll keep your personal effects with you. You won't put them in a bin any longer. You will use your phone as a mobile ticket. And we were mobile last year as well, but the color coding is different than what it was previously. Yes. So you'll scan your ticket, you'll go through and get access into the stadium. We will try to promote staying outdoors as much as possible. So you'll use the outdoor escalators or the ramps. We're going to try to keep elevators to a minimum, and just for our friends with disabilities. So you'll use those mechanisms to get up to your seat. And then when you get to your seat, you're going to notice there's 6 feet of space around your pod. You're sitting with people you're comfortable with, and there's going to be plenty of space. The seats will be banded off, so other folks will not be able to sit in them, other fans. But the gameplay itself will be just like you remembered. We'll use the video boards quite a bit. We'll have a lot of pre-recorded content instead of some of the live content because of things we can't do this year. But you're there because of the action on the field. So you're in your seat, you're having a great time, you're wearing your mask, you're cheering, and you get hungry. You need your cold Bud Light. Yeah. So you pull out your mobile app.
I love my food usually halftime. What's the game plan?
Yes, so you'll pull out your mobile app and you place your order, and it'll based on your section, it'll tell you which pickup location is closest to you. You'll place that order, and you'll be given a countdown timer to go get your food. You'll go to pick up your food. You'll bring it back to your seat. You'll sit there with whoever your fellow fan.
You'll have enough time to deliver all those orders during halftime.
So they won't be delivered. You'll pick them up.
But even picked up. Yeah.
So keep in mind, we are not closing any of our concessions. So we're going to staff the building in our concessions as if it was a 65,000 person event, but because of social distancing, it'll be far less.
More stuff available to to prepare.
Much. And you'll rely on people like our ushers. At the end of the game, our ushers will release row by row so we can keep social distance between our fans, make sure everybody's comfortable. We'll use our video boards to remind people of some of the social distancing measures. Again, the building's designed for 65,000, and that includes restrooms and other things. And our capacity is going to be far less than that.
Sure.
So with those pieces, you do have a lot more space. There is a lot more comfort. There's the ability to service your needs and make sure that you still have a great time. We've also debuted, if you're one of our luxury or suite holders, we've created where you can pair your mobile device with the AV technology in your suite. So your phone becomes your remote control. So you're not touching other devices. You're not
Wow.
having to
That's
engage. We're excited about that. We want, although the experience will be different, we don't want it to be any less enjoyable. And that was really the lens which our CEO, encouraged us to view everything is how can you still make this an absolutely great time that people will be so glad that they came and, celebrate. And we're really excited about the team we're fielding this year too. So that is wonderful as well.
Excellent. So this is taking us, I think, exactly to the point of innovation and the proactive, I would say, path you chose, because we are speaking to a lot of clubs and teams around the world in Europe, Asia, US. Not everybody was as proactive as Miami Dolphins. Maybe you want to share a little bit about, the path you took in terms of innovation, and maybe take us a little bit through the steps of what you've done and, where is it now?
Yeah. So when I came into the organization about 1.5 years ago, and upon entering the organization, spoke with my peers and really tried to understand, the pain points, where the industry was headed. I came from outside sports, so I came from trade shows and conventions. Although we produced events, sports was a new vertical for me, and I really wanted to understand the meat of the business. So after having those conversations, looking at an enterprise application, analysis, looking at how our operating platform model functioned, I put together a 3-year strategic roadmap. And in that roadmap, there were quite a few projects that were very much innovation, dependent. And what was nice, because if there's a silver lining in COVID, it was that we got to expedite that roadmap. We weren't pulled away with some of the events, so we could really focus on the work at hand and build out a full data platform and a business intelligence architecture that was scalable and extensible. We could, do some modernization to our mobile app, deploy some of these things that I've just talked about. And then it also gave me the ability to have a little time to engage with hype and look at some innovative products as well, and some great introductions to some wonderful companies that I'm excited about there too.
So tell us a little bit about, first of all, the solutions that you were looking for by and large, whether it's COVID oriented or general oriented, whether, it's, fan engagement, broadcasting, performance. And if you can give us like 1 or 2 examples of process you start, because some teams and clubs, when we talk to them, they are a bit tired of previous experiences they had with startups knocking on their doors. Sometimes they give them a chance, but they disappoint. How do you, how can you share, about the process? What was your vision and what, I know you're still in the midst of the implementation, but if you can share a little bit about how this is working.
So for me, it's very much about you have the vision of what you're trying to accomplish, and then you break down that vision into individual use cases. And what I think is a very successful path with startups is plugging a startup into a specific use case. I think if you expect the startup to have the vision for you, you're going to fail. But if you can find a startup that fits that use case and fits it really well, like some of the ones that I've been introduced to, you're going to set yourself up for success. So having that clearly defined, having the club define the vision and define the use case, in my mind, is imperative. If I just, some of the organizations that were pitching, I didn't have a use case for, and I thought it would be unfair to that startup to engage them because I'm trying to fit them into a model I don't have. So that would be the recommendation that I would give anybody else who's had a sour experience, is to really look at your vision, look at your use cases, and determine where you need new innovation to be plugged in.
Yes. And, in some of the cases when I speak to clubs and teams, they usually look at, they feel innovative because they are open for anybody that is popping in and sharing a new innovation. They're always open to explore it. But you've done something different. You have created a long-term or 3 years plan, and you have a very, specific, objectives in terms of innovation. And I think in this program, in our program, you have the chance also to pitch it or to share it, and then really choose startups that are solving something that you really looked for. And maybe you can share, even if it's still in the process, we don't need to mention names, but just topics that you were looking at, and what was the game plan around that? Just so people can understand, get a little bit feel of how does it work when you're looking to bring some disruptive innovation into the team.
Correct. So in thinking about some of those use cases, and I can give two. I'm going to keep it vague, but also give enough, I think, information. We have the largest official Facebook group, fans group of any club. I think worldwide. It's huge, and they're very, very active. And so we wanted to do something special. We're at 60,000 now. Yes, and so we've done some special things for that Facebook group. We had our virtual draft party in the group, so folks could get the behind.
It's a group. It's not a page.
No, it is not a page. It is a group.
Yeah, but we have pages with millions, but that's a group, active group. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Active group. Folks post every single day, engage with each other. It's a pretty special place to be a fan, and so we knew we wanted to do something that would be special for that group. So that was one use case that we were looking at, and then another use case that we were looking at is what are new communication mediums that we can use to engage with our fans. Email's fatigued at this point, and text messages can get exhausting. So we wanted to look at what are new mediums that we can potentially tap into to communicate sponsor offers and special access and those types of things. And I think we found one in the accelerator, and hoping to talk about it in the next week or so.
Absolutely, yeah. But keep us on our toes, as they say, and this is totally understood. Some I would say executives or leading executives in clubs and teams are a bit reluctant on the implementation side of choosing a startup, working with a young team. What's your views on that from your perspective? The process, choosing and then implementing, or it's too soon to say?
No, it's not too soon to say. The operationalization of any of these platforms is where everything falls apart if you don't do it right. So what we had to do was find the internal resources, the Dolphins resources, who were going to be their interface day in and day out.
The accountable internally.
Yes, the accountability. The one I'm hoping to announce very soon, what I've asked them for is effectively a startup document to say, and tongue in cheek, but how do we take your platform and then operationalize it in order to be successful? And we've tasked them with that. So it's accountability, exactly as what you said, but it's also making sure there's somebody internally that manages that relationship. Because if you just expect the startup to go with no guidance, like it's a recipe for failure.
Absolutely, and that's exactly it. And I think, as you mentioned, it's managing this process, until implementation. Now, this is a use case, and let's say you bring this, innovation on board and this platform and solution, and it really creates the KPIs that you've expected them to create, it opens the door maybe later on for new ideas, new innovative ideas, which will be implemented in the team that will be more confident in the process and in the, I would say, and in introducing those, I would say, breakthrough technologies and solutions. Now, can I ask you, in your vision, and we discussed it in our preparation for the call, how some leagues and clubs are really accelerating their ideas, moving forwards on automation, on AI solutions. If I would, challenge you a little bit on how you see the team in a year time in terms of innovation, in your wish list, can you share some things which, if I will come to the stadium, let's say in 2 years time, is there any kind of something that you vision that I will experience that, wow, worthwhile waking up in the morning for?
I think, for me, there are definitely things that, reimagining the entire fan journey, from the time you wake up in the morning, how we engage with you, how you engage with other fans. I do see, I think what's happened is there's a big play for augmented reality. And right now it's a novelty and not an expectation. So to do AR really well, you need to have unique experiences every single time somebody comes to the stadium. So so this is just a pipe dream, for instance, right now, but we have incredible art at the stadium. We've got some wonderful art installations, and I think that it could be really fun if you could use AR to then bring that art to life. And how do you engage with it? How do you interact with it? Same thing, with on the field. If you could use augmented reality to look at, hold up your device or your wearable, look at the field and see some of the most historic plays that have ever happened at Hard Rock Stadium.
Wow.
So that's one vision that I have of what the future looks like with technology.
Amazing. So I can come with my son and we can have an augmented reality experience, which probably will not be, less exciting than the actual game, maybe.
Yeah, and or you can share the memory that was important to you. Like I'll tell a personal story. My grandfather was at the 1989 game, Super Bowl game at Hard Rock Stadium, and then 30 years later, his granddaughter was working there. Like, to be able to see the game like he saw it would be a pretty special event for me. So I think it's how you can even connect generations.
Amazing. Whoa. Tim, if you're, if we are now talking to, clubs and teams around the world which are, thinking about how shall they prepare for next season, what kind of innovation they should look at, what kind of strategies, people, we talk to, this is our business, we talk to them and we see that there's, they're in different places. Not necessarily, sometimes the same league. You can see in the Bundesliga or in the Premier League. Same teams with totally different mindset and different, I would say, strategy. But, from the place that you are, and I know that you've been, heavily involved in innovation in the last, few months since the COVID started. Mm-hmm. What are the, I would say, if you can give them like a little bit of sharing from your experience, and if they're looking now for the right innovation strategy, what would you invite them to look at? What would be the first steps if I'm a CIO, a new CIO now in a big club in Europe or in the US? What would be the steps that perhaps from your, from the path you've been through, which I think is quite extraordinary, what would you suggest or invite them to consider?
I think that first you have to build a network. I'm here with you with Hype because of Christian Lau with LAFC. He's one of the most innovative in the business, and I just we fostered a relationship early, and he brought me in. I've fostered great relationships with the Florida Panthers and the Marlins and the Heat, and it's really I was surprised when I came into sports how collaborative it actually is. And so I'd say that that's the first thing you need to do is to make that network and make those connections, because that's how you'll be introduced to vendors and ideas, different things. And then it is understanding, what is the vision from your leadership, from your owner and your CEO. Where do they see things going? It's no surprise to anyone. Streaming services are up. Most folks have 3 or 4. How can you bring new experiences into the homes of fans? How do you look at building something that is a companion to the broadcast? How do you satisfy fans that are now worldwide? We're not regions anymore. The globalization of sport is here and it's real. So how do we satisfy fans that are in Brazil and London and other places? So I think it's working together. It's understanding. If it was a new CIO coming into the league, I would say foster those connections first and foremost, and then look at what that vision is and look at who your fans are, because you'll start to see the insights of how you should introduce innovation to those fan groups.
Amazing. Last question, if I may, and this is a little bit more, I would say, if I may, focus on the program that you've been a partner with us now at this Global Virtual Accelerator. And the question is, as a feedback, I think for us, because that's the first time we've done a Global Virtual Accelerator with, as you know, over 1,000 startups globally and partners from Europe and Russia and the US. If we're now thinking about a new cycle in the future, and you've been through the selection process and you've been through the startups and working with the other brands and clubs and federations, what would be like if I would ask you to be brutally honest with us and give us some feedback that will work better for the next, I would say, partners and clubs and startups? What would that be?
Oh, that's tough. I have to say, you and Ryan have just done an exceptional job of pulling the program together, really from nothing to get it to where it was. I think that the toughest thing for me has actually just been time. I wanted to commit more time, and I simply couldn't. And that was the biggest challenge. So understanding how much time is really involved, and how, if you want to have a great experience, you need to give it the time and attention that it deserves. And I wish, if I had to do things differently, I wish I would have brought in members of my team sooner. I really only brought them in once we had selected the finalists, and I wish I would have brought them into the pitch days and other things sooner, so that it wouldn't have been quite so much on my time. So maybe that's a recommendation you give future clubs that are engaged.
Get the team involved in an earlier stage. Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Anything you want to say just as the final note, Kim?
No, I am. I'm extraordinarily blessed and thankful. I do want to highlight something that I am very proud to be a part of. In addition to all of the work that we've done to get ready for the season, our owner Stephen Ross recognized what COVID is doing to the community and to families, and that it's creating a crisis with food insecurity and other things. So he started the Miami Dolphins Food Relief Program, and we prepare at the stadium 1,000 meals a day and have them available for pickup to groups in the Miami Gardens community. And then on the weekends, we sponsor businesses in the Miami Gardens community to still prepare meals for 1,000 people a day. And just to have a little piece of that, to be able to volunteer and hand out meals is something I am so grateful for. And I think what an incredible organization that I'm a part of to want to give back constantly to those who make us better.
I can't think about a better way to end up this session. Kim, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm sure this was real inspiration for anybody in the sports universe, and looking forward to see you and our guest in the next time.
Thank you for having me.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.